Hey everybody, Gumshoe Stories, Tim Koval here. First time in a while, giving you an update on the Missy Bevers case. It's kind of an interesting update. I wouldn't call it super substantive, but let's face it, those of us who followed this case for all these years are kind of starved for any update. So let me tell you what we have. Midlothian Police Chief Carl Smith was interviewed by it's a podcast, a local podcast to the DFW area called the Ellis Talker Show. And there was a Facebook Live, and I will post a link to it so that you can go back and watch it and see what you think about it. It's about a 51-minute interview, but only a small part of it is about Missy Bevers. It's mostly just about what Midlothian police are doing and kind of an update on very local stuff that's only going to be interesting to local people. So it's around the 28-minute mark, a little after the 28-minute mark, where Midlothian Police Chief Carl Smith does address the Missy Bevers murder. And I transcribed it for myself, and I'm just going to read what he said. It's pretty close to accurate as far as a transcription goes. But here's what he said. He said the most difficult one, and he's referring to murder cases, and he had just, this is in the context of he's talked about some murders that have happened since the Missy Bevers murder and what they've done to solve those. There's murders in the 2017 and 18 timeframe, and maybe after that. But he said the most difficult murder case we have and continue to work on is the Missy Bevers homicide. It remains unsolved. We continue to address this with local media, with annual reports in April, with periodic updates. This is one where we are confident that we will continue to move forward, addressing and identifying parts of that event through improved technology. Because of the advancement of technology and the advancement of forensics, we are confident that at some point we will know what happened. I stopped there because the older the case is, the more difficult prosecution will be. We are still confident that we will get to a point where we can announce what we know about this. With every successful prosecution, you have evidence to not only place someone at the crime scene, but you have evidence that concludes that they committed the crime. And so obviously, without going into detail, we are missing critical parts of that puzzle. It is something that we will not risk exposing the efforts that we're doing in order to fill in those missing puzzle parts. It's very much going through the documentation, addressing the fact base that we have. I can tell you the staff know the case very, very well. We have several investigators who continue to take leads and work those leads. I'll just tell you that we're hopeful that through that continued work, that we will be able to identify those that were involved and move forward. So that's what was said, and I'm still digesting it a little bit, and I'm interested in what you think that he meant through what he said, and feel free to put that in the comments. Um, I'm more interested in what he didn't say. Instead of just saying we're not any closer today than we were at the beginning, like he did a few years ago. To me, it almost sounds like he's sort of setting an expectation for us that maybe they're starting to get some idea of who might have done it, but they may never actually prosecute the case. Maybe because the person's dead, or maybe they just don't have the evidence to link that person as having committed the crime, even though they may feel confident that that person was there that night. That's an important point to bring up. You can feel confident that someone was there, but if you don't have a murder weapon, that makes it very difficult because the murder itself was not on camera. You can sort of infer that If someone was in the church that night, um, they're probably the killer. But you also have to remember this was a public building, and so can they really prove that someone was in there at that particular time? Just because they might have forensic evidence, such as DNA, can they really prove that the person was there at the time the murder happened? If they can't, then it falls apart if you try to prosecute it, because they had church there with 300 people, less than 24 hours before that. So that's an issue. I just, I get the feeling that they may be moving a little bit closer. He's talking about advancements in technology, which to me kind of confirms that they do still have DNA evidence. They've mentioned that once before in a local interview, but forensically, you've got to have something to link to someone, for him to mention that they're hoping that the technology will improve. Because if you don't have anything at all, then it won't matter how much technology improves, right? But you have to make it usable to your case. So, I still hold out hope that there's genetic genealogy. Maybe Paragon Labs has the DNA, and that can be a painstaking, sometimes years long process, to actually tie it to a family, much less drill it down to an individual person. And it's dependent upon these ancestry databases and what DNA has been uploaded to those databases. There may be 5 years from now a DNA profile that someone has uploaded because they were arrested or because they decided to submit their DNA, just to check their ancestry out. And maybe that will be there 5 years from now, whereas it's not there today. And maybe once it's there, maybe it can be linked back to the partial DNA profile that we believe that Midlothian has. So it's interesting. I really want to hear what you guys think, after we have a chance to digest what Chief Smith said. So be sure and give us your thoughts in the comments. And that's really all I have. It's not much of an update, but we haven't had an update in a long time. So I felt it was important enough to go ahead and hop on, which I haven't done in a while, and say something about it. And I will go back in the description and or in the comments, and I will put a specific link to that Facebook Live. But again, it's called the Ellis Talker Show, and it is a podcast that's local to Midlothian. And I'll give you a link. Remember, it's like the 28-minute mark, or between 28 and 29 minutes, that he talks about Missy Bevers specifically. Hope you guys are doing well, and hope to see you again and talk to you soon. Have a good day.